Add some organization to your life with a dry erase calendar you can make yourself. In today's video, I'll show you how to use your Cricut machine to make this quick and easy project. To make this calendar, you'll need a large picture frame, and mine measured about 14 inches by 18 inches. You'll need vinyl, transfer tape, a dry erase marker, scissors, poster board, a scraper, weeding tool, your Cricut, a large cutting mat, and the cut file. So grab your supplies and then head over to your computer. The first thing we need to do is grab the SVG file we'll be using for this project. You can get it for free on my blog over at burtonavenue.com. I keep all the SVG files for the projects that I make and share in this free SVG library. These files will work with all kinds of cutting machines and they're free to everyone. Once you're on my site, just go ahead and click on Free SVG Files and then Free SVG Library. You will need a password to get into the library, and there are instructions on the screen if you need to get one. Once you're in the library, you can search for the file called Calendar. It will either be listed under the most recent projects and cut files or under the Everyday category. You can also use your browser search to find it. I've added the unique code BA1423 after the file name to make finding the file a little bit easier. Once you've found the file, go ahead and click on it, and the file will be downloaded onto your computer. Now when you download these files online, they come in a zipped folder, and you'll need to unzip or extract them before you can use them in Cricut Design Space. To do this, you'll need to go to the location where downloaded files are saved onto your computer. Once you're there, look for the zipped file that we just downloaded. Double-click on it, and another window should open. And somewhere you should see the option to extract or unzip. Click on that, and another window will open up. And this will show you the destination where the unzipped files will be saved onto your computer. You need to remember this location because you'll need to get to it once you're in Cricut Design Space. Now go ahead and click on Extract, and the files will be unzipped and they're now ready to use. So let's head over to Cricut Design Space and start a new project. Once you're on the Canvas screen, go ahead and click on the Upload button, and then click Upload Image, and then click on Browse. And now you'll want to go to that destination where the unzipped files were saved onto your computer. Once you're inside of that folder, you'll see several different file types listed, and we are going to be using the SVG. And sometimes the SVG will show up as a Chrome HTML document or Microsoft Edge HTML document or something similar to that. So if you don't see SVG in this list of file types, be sure to look for one of those instead. So select the SVG and click Open. Make sure it's the file that you want to work with, and then click Save. Select the design one more time and click Insert Images. And now the design will appear on your Canvas screen. So the first thing that we're going to do is add the name that's going to go along the top of our design. To do that, you'll just click on the text icon and then type out the name. And if you want to change the font, you can do that by clicking on the drop-down arrow under Fonts, and then just select one of the fonts that is on your computer. Once you've typed out the name, check to make sure the spacing looks good. If it doesn't, you can fix it by right-clicking and choosing Ungroup, and then you can just move over the letters until they look good. Once the spacing looks good, select all of the letters and right-click and choose Weld. And then you can resize the name so that it looks good with your design. Once your size looks good, you can select everything and click on Align and then choose Center Horizontally. Okay, so the next thing that we need to do is resize the design so that it will fit on our piece of glass. You can do that by selecting everything and then changing the width. And my piece of glass is 18 inches, and I'm just going to resize the design 1.5 inches smaller. So I'll change the width of mine to 16.5 inches. Make sure the height is also about 1.5 inches smaller than the height of your glass. If it's not, you'll need to make the name smaller until it fits. Now this design is big and it's kind of hard to see what we're working with. So I'm going to go down here and click on the minus sign and change the percent to 50. And that will just make everything a little bit easier to see. Now, if you take a look at the height of this design and the width of the design, you'll notice that both of them are bigger than 11.5 inches, which is the greatest width that the machine can cut. So we are going to need to break apart this design so we can cut it in 2 pieces and then piece it together when we're putting it on our glass. The problem is that when you import SVG files, the entire file is grouped together as one piece. And we need to fix that by right-clicking and choosing Ungroup. And then you can select individual portions of the design to work with. So we will select our last name and the family portion of the design and right-click and choose Attach. And that will just lock those together. And the calendar is already one piece, so you don't need to do anything with that. Now you could send the design to your machine to cut right now, but I'm going to show you how to add a few alignment guides to make positioning this design on your piece of glass a little bit easier. There are quite a few steps involved, but it's so worth it because if you add these guides, your design will be centered and straight on your piece of glass. So to do that, we're going to go over and draw a few skinny rectangles and then draw one small triangle. Now we're going to center the triangle on one of these rectangles by selecting both of them and clicking Align, Center Horizontally, and then right-click and choose Weld. And then we're also going to take one of these rectangles and flip it 90 degrees. Okay, so now we have our alignment guides ready. We just need to create a rectangle that's the size of our piece of glass to put the guides on. So go over and click on Shapes again and choose Square. And then go up and click on the padlock and put in the dimensions of your piece of glass. And like I said, mine's 18 inches wide and it's 14 inches tall. And then you'll also want to click on Arrange and Send to Back. So now this rectangle represents our piece of glass. So we're just going to move it over here and kind of position it behind our design so that it looks good. And then just to make sure everything is centered, you can select all the parts of the design and the rectangle and click on Align and Center Horizontally. And then you can right-click and choose Group. And that will just lock everything into place so that nothing will get moved. And now we can work on putting in our alignment guides. So we'll start with this top one and we'll move it over to the top of the design, and we'll also need to bring that to the front. And you'll want to select that and hold down your Shift key and select the rectangle and click on Align, Align Top, and then click Align again and Center Horizontally. And what that does is that will position this rectangle with the little triangle exactly at the top of the rectangle and in the center. So now that portion's ready to go. We'll add these two alignment guides down to the bottom. So we'll do the left one first, and we'll bring that to the front. And with your Shift key held down, select the rectangle again and choose Align and then Align Left. And then we'll do it with this bottom one. So bring it to the front, hold down your Shift key and select the rectangle and choose Align, and then this one you'll do Align Bottom. So now these two guides will go on the edges of the piece of glass, and not only will it help us to put the design on straight, but it will also help us to make sure it's centered. So the next thing that we need to do is ungroup the design so that we can get rid of this rectangle. So I'm going to do that over here. I'm going to select the rectangle and choose Ungroup. So now you should be able to select the rectangle and then just delete it. And you'll notice that the rectangle disappears, but we'll still have our positioning guides there. So now you can select the calendar portion and those two bottom alignment guides and right-click and choose Attach. And then you'll do that with the top portion of the design. And now this part's locked together and this part's locked together, and we are finally ready to cut everything out. So go ahead and click on the green Make It button. And you'll get this little notification up at the top that says you need to use the bigger mat. So you can click on OK. And then if you scroll down, you'll see the top portion of the calendar there, and you'll see the little part with the name down here. So we can cut the entire design on one 12-inch by 24-inch piece of vinyl, and then we'll piece it together once it's cut out. Now we are going to be putting this on the back side of our piece of glass, so you do need to select the mirror option. And now you can click on Continue. Once Design Space finds your machine, you'll be taken to this screen. Make sure that the dial on your machine is set to vinyl, and then you can go load your cutting mat. Place a sheet of 12-inch by 24-inch vinyl on your cutting mat and smooth it down. Load the mat into your Cricut by pressing the up and down arrow button. Once your machine is ready to cut, the C button will light up. Press this and the machine will begin cutting. Once it's finished, press the up and down arrow button again to unload your mat. Remove the vinyl from the cutting mat and pull off the excess vinyl. Use your weeding tool to pull out the pieces inside of the letters and the squares inside of the calendar. Now, cut a piece of transfer tape a little bit bigger than the designs and place it sticky side up on your work surface. Then, place the vinyl on top of the transfer tape and smooth it down. Rub over the vinyl with your scraper and then trim off the excess transfer tape and cut apart the two sections of vinyl. Next, we're going to apply the vinyl to the glass. Start by wiping down the back of your piece of glass with some rubbing alcohol and a lint-free cloth. Let it air dry before you apply the vinyl. Now grab the calendar portion of the design and cut off about a 1/2 inch section of the vinyl backing under the alignment guides. Place the vinyl on the glass and line up the edges of the guide with the edges of the glass. When both guides are lined up, press down on the transfer tape and vinyl. Now carefully pull off your vinyl backing. Make sure the right edge guide stays in place. You'll have to lift up part of the bottom guide to remove the backing. Use your scraper and slowly press the vinyl onto the glass. You'll want to hold the left edge of the design up while you start pressing down on the right side. And then slowly work your way over to the left edge of the design. Once everything's down, rub over the entire design again with your scraper and then carefully pull off the transfer tape. You can also remove those alignment guides. Next, we'll work on the name portion of the design. Flip the piece of glass over and use a dry erase marker to make a center mark about 1/2 inch down from the top of the glass. Then flip your glass back over. Now grab the vinyl with the family name and pull off the vinyl backing. Replace the vinyl backing so just the alignment guide is exposed. Match up the top of the alignment guide with the top of your glass. Make sure the point of the triangle matches up with your center mark. When everything is in place, press down on your transfer tape. Now you can remove the vinyl backing again. Make sure the alignment guide stays on the glass as you're pulling off the backing. Use your scraper to press the vinyl into place. Once it's down, rub over a few more times and then remove the transfer tape and alignment guide. You can also wipe off the mark you made with the dry erase marker. Next, grab a piece of poster board and trace the outline of the piece of glass onto it, and then cut along the lines. Now we're going to reassemble the frame. So place your piece of glass back into the frame, followed by that piece of poster board we just cut, and then add the frame backing. Move the metal tabs back into place and your calendar is finished. If you enjoyed this project and you want to see more like it, be sure to like and subscribe so you'll get notified each time I post a new video.